You thought you were going to have a relaxing July 4th weekend, didn't you, Mr. Keim? Quite the opposite with all the Redskins news.
I was supposed to be on vacation, and technically I was yesterday. I think I got, out of the 7 days, I think I got half of one, maybe.
So how much did you actually work on, well, let's just say Friday, Saturday, Sunday combined? Were you working all day?
Friday, absolutely. Saturday, definitely. I had to do something for SportsCenter Saturday, and so there was probably half a day.
Yeah.
Sunday it was in and out, so it's just a lot of texting and all that. Now, I wasn't, they didn't have me write anything because I was they wanted to give me 1 day. So,
right.
So I did, but there was texting and all of that, and loss of sleep, et cetera, et cetera.
Oh,
now you tweeted out though that this actually was in motion a couple of weeks ago, at least from Snyder, and then the Rivera got involved a week ago. Is that before FedEx and Nike get in the mix?
Yes, that was before those statements came out. Yeah, that's my understanding, and I had someone from the league who also confirmed that Snyder had been communicating at least with some level of, at some level with the league about this a couple of weeks ago.
Mm-hmm. I was speculating on this earlier. Is Snyder's potential movement on this, is it influenced by Bruce Allen being out? I mean, Bruce Allen was in his ear. I heard an interview with Logan Paulson over the weekend where he said Bruce Allen would kind of present the reasons why they stuck with the Redskins name each year to the players. Is that potentially a reason why maybe Snyder's moving? Because we never thought he would move on this.
Yeah, and I don't know, because I think people kind of want to blame Bruce Allen for everything. I don't know that that's the case. I never got the sense that it was just a Bruce Allen thing by any means, because the first one who was pretty adamant about it was Dan Snyder, and the all caps comment, and he had communicated what it meant to him. Now, I think what happens is first of all, society has changed since Bruce Allen was even here, so I think there's so many things that are going on that people are looking at things a lot differently now, and perhaps I don't know if it's as simple as that. I don't know. I do think that, certainly Bruce had a similar love and passion for the name that Dan Snyder would have, and perhaps that kind of made him emboldened with it. I don't know. So it could have been a shared thing, but it certainly gave him somebody that he could talk to who perhaps felt the same deep passion for the name that he had. I don't know.
John, what about the story that the minority owners want out? Is this, the way we're reading it, is because they're just sort of tired of working with Dan? Yeah. It has nothing to do with being associated with the name. Is that correct?
That's my understanding too, and it's, when I was texting with people, and this is what I was talking about yesterday, and but after that Pro Football Talk report came out, that they were, surprised. I mean, I heard some rumblings about this Friday, but nothing that was confirmed, and nothing that was, like to this whatever. But you heard that there was some maybe dissatisfaction. But I texted with a few people who know these relationships well, and I think they were surprised, but also that it must be, they felt like it must be personal at some level, because Dan certainly felt like he considered them friends, my understanding.
Right.
So I think this one has to, be a blow for him. I don't know exactly why, and why, like I was asked somebody else, like, why now? I mean, they've been around him for, a long time. Why now? Mm-hmm. And I don't have that answer at this point.
Yeah, the timing is just very strange.
It is. And again, I mean, has Dan Snyder, I don't know if has he changed since all these moves were made? I don't know. And that's a question I think that I would like to get answered is, why, you've known Dan Snyder, you've had this relationship with him for a long time. Why is it just, why now? Why all three right now?
Well, maybe they're having to deal with him more that Bruce isn't there, right? That
possibly,
buffer.
I don't know. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing that people, that's what the role that Bruce Allen was supposed to serve. I mean, his problem is he started getting involved in everything, and it, and didn't make it work.
Mm-hmm. So let's be real. I think we all understand that Dan hasn't I'm guessing, right? We all are guessing here, but that Dan hasn't had some sort of personal epiphany where he feels like this name is truly offensive. You know, he was pressured, right? And that was the final piece. The one that's interesting to me, okay, I can understand Nike, but the FedEx element is interesting too, right? Because they've been partners for so long. Do you have any more insight on any of that?
Well, no, I think it kind of goes back to the thing that was surprising was the statement, obviously. And then the Redskins put out their own statement the next day saying that they were seriously going to look at changing the name, and it looked like they were pressured into that. And, you know, like I said, this had already been put in motion before that point. But it makes me wonder then if did FedEx know? Did Fred Smith know it was already put in motion? If so, why did they release a statement? Why not just let the Redskins come out with their own statement? You know, and you wonder about everything. But as someone else told me too the other day, is like, you know, Fred Smith has a business to run too, and you have to make sure that you're protecting your interests because that's his company. So, you know, I don't know. Like, I know that there was, I think it was in like 2014 that it was brought to a vote by FedEx shareholders if they wanted to continue the relationship with the team because of the name. And they, you know, clearly they did because they voted to do so. And I don't know if it was an overwhelming thing. I don't know, but it was put to a vote and they continued it. And they only have, I think they have it through 2025. So I'll be curious to see where it goes. If Fred Smith indeed is pulling out, you know, there's a lot of layers to this one because of the relationships. And you know, I was told the other day that you know Fred Smith is somebody that, you know, according to some people who know them, like that he idolizes and almost worships. And because of his business acumen and all that. And so I think that, you know, they felt like that one really had to sting. Now, again, if the wheels were already set in motion, I don't know that it pushed him into the statement, but it certainly, I don't think it could have made him feel good.
We're joined by John Keim from ESPN.com. Give him a follow on Twitter at John_Keim. Are you surprised at how quickly things are moving on the name front? Because we're hearing reports that if the name changes, that it would be before this upcoming season. And there's not a lot of runway between now and the upcoming season.
No.
Has that surprised you, the quickness of all this?
Yes, it would. It would suggest a couple things. What that, you know, if you did start this in motion a few weeks ago, that maybe he already had some alternative in mind. And I don't. This is speculation on that part because I don't know that for sure. But did he already have something in mind that you would want to go to? But I know that from Ron Rivera's perspective, it's the desire. The desire is to get it done before camp because if not, you know, part of his job is being out front with this, but also having to deal with it behind the scenes. And he needs to be coaching. You know, I think this is where you would say it would be beneficial to have somebody in a role between, you know, who's like on a business end as a president in a traditional president role of a team to handle this stuff because it allows the, you know, and you can still give the coach the power of the football side and all that. But it does allow this to be taken off his plate. And I think it's not just about going out and making public comments. It's about what other things are you having to do behind the scenes to do this, to help with this too. And those are some of the things you have to do. But of course, the head coach would want it done before then. Doesn't mean it will be, but it certainly feel like in talking to some people, they did feel like it could happen sooner rather than later. When Tennessee changed theirs in 1998, they announced it in July that year, and by November they had the new name, but they put it to a fan vote and all that. So I'll be curious to see, will they put it to any sort of a fan vote? And is it going to be a vote where it's like it's almost like, are you watching House Hunters come up where you already have the name, but you're going to put it to a vote anyways, just to you know, right, for some sort of appearance sake. And I don't know that, but I think if it goes that fast, it certainly suggests that there were a couple alternatives already in mind.
Yeah, do we have any idea, like, what other names he has the rights to? My understanding is he bought the rights, or whatever it is, he claimed the rights to Warriors back in '99 or something like that. Are there others?
I don't know.
Yeah.
John, how many of the players have chimed in? I saw that Haskins favors Red Tails, but then he didn't want anybody to attack him on social media after he declared that.
Yeah, well, I would suggest.
I don't blame him.
Join the club.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, yeah. I haven't seen anything, and I haven't. These guys are off right now. They just want to be off, getting ready for the season. So I haven't seen and heard a lot from other players because to be honest, most of the focus has been on such, more than their opinions on it. It's been on what's going on. And
well, John, what do the old guard think? Like,
what about the older players?
Like, what about Brian Mitchell and Doc and all those guys?
I think
like,
Gary Clark was adamant that he doesn't want it changed.
Yeah, I wonder what those guys think.
I do too, and I think that's the next step in this, to be honest. Like I said, I mean, it's been hard because you're trying to, I know for me, I'm trying to balance. You're trying to cover news, and I'm supposed to be off, and, so there's not a lot of extra time to find out all of that right now. I think that's going to unfold this week. I think with B. Mitch, I mean, I was on with them the other day, and it seems like there's maybe it's just time sort of thing. It's like, whether or not you like it, maybe you just can't fight it anymore. I don't know.
Right.
And so, but yeah, I mean, I wonder what the old guard thinks too, because especially that group, they're the ones who really kind of elevated this franchise and turned it into something for a region that made them very proud. So there's a deep meaning there for them, and people can knock whatever they want to knock with it, but you can't take away the deep feelings that they have for what they accomplished under that name.
Right.
And also the old fan base, the older fan base.
Yeah.
We talked to someone on Friday, JP, or I'm sorry, Thursday, JP, right? It was Thursday with that fan called in from Reston. He was very upset, with the thought of this, they were going to change the name, and I wonder what the impact's going to be with the fan base that has followed this team for 40, 50 years.
I do too, and I think because obviously, my God, anytime I tweet a story that's been written about this, you can't really go into your mentions because it's just one thing after another, and there's a lot of passion both ways, and I can even with some older fans, I've seen the passion float both ways. So like I'm sure I know there are definitely some who might say, hey, I'm done with this. It's going to feel like to them maybe some level of an expansion franchise. I don't know. Now the thing is, like, because you know how this is too. Like, you get attached to your sports team, and that means memories, with your family growing up, your dad, your brothers, your sister, whatever. Anybody. You have those deep memories, and it's because of this. It's associated with this. Now, the one thing I think you find is that the memories don't go away. You still have that memory with your brothers at a game or whatever, watching the team you root for win, and that doesn't change. But I do think it's going to feel a lot different. And again, whether people can say it's right or wrong, that's the reality. It's going to feel different for people. It doesn't make them bad for feeling that way. Their attachment is to something that's deeper than just that. And and so I think, I don't know how people are going to. The hard part to know is what are they going to feel after this team starts playing again under whatever name it is. And are you going to think, well, you know what, I'm still watching a team from Washington, whether they're the Redskins or something else, it's still the team that, that I grew up rooting for, or the franchise I grew up rooting for. I don't, there's Joe Theismann is still attached to this franchise. It hasn't moved. I grew up in Cleveland. When the Browns moved, it changed things. This team isn't moving. It's just changing its name, or likely to. And so I don't know, but I think it's impossible to know, especially for me. I didn't grow up here. It's hard to know what are people going to think, not just now, but after it does, if and when it does happen.
The good news is that we've been through this before with the Bullets/Wizards, right? So this town's been through this before, and I would say largely, this is just a guess, but largely my perception has been, being a lifelong Washingtonian, is that Bullets fans just stayed Wizards fans. You know what I mean? There was no real switch over. I mean, there was resentment towards it. People didn't want to change the name, but they still yearn for the old name. But it's not like they gave up and became, like Warriors fans or something.
Well, and that's why I say, like, I think, and I don't know, because I mean, will people realize that the memories you watch, it's about the people you're with, not necessarily the name of a team. It's still like, if you know, because you always hear like, you know, the connection I had with my dad. That connection remains because you sat there. Those memories don't go away because they're changing the name. So I think, and again, I'm not trying to preach to anybody. I just think that's how it goes. I mean, like I said, the Browns moved, and when they came back, I was already covering this team. So you're not the same fan that you were before. And I had the same thing with my dad, where that was a bond. That didn't change. You know what I'm saying? So like those memories still existed of me going to the game with my brothers, my dad. Right. And so, you know, I think they'll realize that, but I think the difference too with the Bullets in this one is this franchise was more deeply ingrained. But then it's also the traditions, because it's the traditions, it's the marching bands, the HTTR, it's the colors, it's all of that. So there's a lot more tradition centered around it. So I think that's the hard part that people, you know, will have to come to deal with. But again, you're still going to, you know, they're still going to be playing football in that stadium. I think and I also think that, you know, this team hasn't been good, and I think there are a lot of people
who are the biggest factor, John.
Yeah.
Because they've been losing fans for years, and it has nothing to do with the name. And if they start winning, the fans will start coming back, and they'll buy the new gear, whatever colors they choose, whatever mascot they choose. If the team actually starts winning, let's say Dwayne Haskins becomes one of the better quarterbacks in the league, fans are going to flock to the stadium. That's just the way it is.
And that's and like I said, you hit it though. I was going to games last year when we went to those games. There weren't a lot of people there who were rooting for this team, for the Redskins. And so, you know, you can't. I'm not going to blame if people aren't showing up. I'm not going to say, oh my God, the name changed, they're staying away. If this team hasn't put fans in a position to really test that saying that I'll never go back, because they haven't given them a reason to. So give them a reason to make it harder on them to stay away, and that's by winning. And so you're right. If Haskins goes out and plays well this year, let's say Haskins plays well and Chase Young has 12 sacks, people are going to be geeked. And that's, you know, it's like that's what you want to see, whether, you know, regardless of what the name is. It's, you know, it's that you want to see a better product on the field.